Started. Is the recording going? And you do have somebody in the meeting right now. Are we recording now?
I think so.
Yes, we are recording. All right, then we will call to order. Monday, March 3rd, Waitsfield Selectboard. Any additions, removals, or adjustments to the agenda? No? Is anybody here for the public forum? No. Oh, and I think, did we move the minutes? The minutes are now in the consent agenda, right? And then we are supposed to be doing the liquor license renewal, but I don't see anyone here from that.
She said she was gonna be here.
Well, then I see Brian here, and we can jump right over to the executive session stuff, since he's here and I assume ready to go. Right, Brian? Okay, I got 2 thumbs up. So first, we'd be looking for a finding that premature knowledge of our attorney-client communications is for the purpose of providing professional services, and doing this in public would place the body at a disadvantage.
Looking for a motion.
Mm-hmm.
I would make that motion.
Okay,
Second.
all right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and then we need a motion to enter executive session. The one that York listed on the agenda is the incorrect one. This would be for a confidential attorney-client communications made for the purpose of providing professional legal services, which is 1 VSA 313A1F.
I would make that motion and also to add, to include meeting with Brian Smith, JB, and York Haverkamp as to consult with them as part of this discussion.
Okay, somebody for a second? All right, all those in favor?
Right?
Okay, that's unanimous. So we're gonna go into executive sessions.
And so,
Okay. All right, we're just gonna quickly discuss the schedule for March and April, and then we'll get to town meeting day planning.
Oh wait, do you wanna,
Let's just do this quick.
Okay.
And then-
I think we ought to discuss it next week.
Well, but that's what you're
Let's
gonna
just decide
meet.
we're gonna meet on the 10th.
Okay.
We're gonna meet on the 10th.
Yeah, I
and then-
decided just to leave it, but I figured that.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah, and then, I mean, it would generally be the 10th and the 24th.
Yeah.
There's no reason to not go with it, but,
great.
I did discuss with York, I probably at that point will be discussing the whole schedule.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm gonna wanna be discussing the April schedule, how it relates to the 5th Monday
Oh,
in March. So that'll put me with that.
yeah. Okay, great. Town meeting day planning. We're ready for you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, I do have a few questions.
Okay.
Maybe just jump right into them.
Yeah.
First of all, most important part of the day, Pledge of Allegiance. I know in prior years you have led the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yep.
Can I assume that as well?
Yep.
Thank you. I understand we don't have a dedication, but we have a couple of pages dedicated to thanking some folks that have in our community provided long-term public service. I would be turning to someone in the select board to perhaps offer some comments to that, and I just wanted to flag that. It may be something that you all want to consider.
One of the people we're thanking is Christine, so she
Yeah,
has
I can speak to some of the other ones.
Okay, just something to think about. I'll be asking that question.
Who do you wanna speak to?
I could do certainly the office staff.
Yeah.
And Trish.
Okay. I can do Robin.
Okay.
And
Great.
So maybe
So we'll make sure they sit next to each other so they can pass their mic.
Okay, great, thank you. In terms of timing and when we would be hearing from the representatives, as you know, they typically go around the 5 communities, and they can never quite meet all 5 for the timing of all. But we typically have had them come in before the budget discussion, so I wanted to maybe mention that, depending on where they are. If they are in the room, we might want to either have them
I would
have a few
suggest
words
more towards the
before
end.
Article 2, or certainly before Article 3.
Well, we started at 9, right, and I think I had said to them like 10:30, I felt like that was when they normally were here, like that's kind of when we normally do it, but I,
Yeah, you already had emails, right, with that, when they were gonna come?
But-
10:30 might be tough, because that might be right in the middle of the
Right.
budget discussion.
but
Well, we'll see.
they can wait,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, I have done that in the past. Wait
Yeah.
I mean,
until
you can just wait until we're done with whatever article we're on, and then
Okay, slide them in
go
then.
to them.
And as you know, Rep. Torrey is not from the town, so I'll be certainly acknowledging that in, as well as your participation too, should questions come arise, since you're not a voting member. Just know that I'll be suspending Robert's rules and accommodating that participation.
And when you're thanking the town staff, do you want to introduce yours?
Sure.
Introduce the front table.
Yeah, I was going to do that right from the
First,
get-go.
from the beginning.
Introduce everyone who's
Yeah.
up there. Okay, great. Then you have both the select board report and the budget. So Article 2 will cover, as a courtesy, cover all the town reports. I'll mention the last one being the select board report. And typically, people have questions about the budget, so, but there may be, who knows, but there may be some questions specific to the select board report. I wanted just to flag that. But I imagine we could perhaps defer some of the more specific questions about the budget to Article 3. In past years, we've had presentations about the budget, and that helps get everyone up to speed in terms of how to understand the budget a little bit and know where we are and how we arrived at the budget, the proposed budget. I suspect that we'll have a presentation, is that correct?
Yeah.
And will you be the one presenting, or will York be presenting?
I think it's Brian and Josh. Right, is that what you guys decided?
I think it's Josh.
Oh, cheers. I think you both gave me slightly different stories, but we'll go with Josh.
No, that's right. If that's okay with the rest of the gang, that's what we discussed.
yeah,
Best.
that's fine. Yeah, I think it makes sense, one of the two of you guys who spend all the time working on it.
Yeah, I think having one person go through it, roll through it, we worked on it today.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's freshest for you.
When we get to, I guess, articles, most of these articles are transfers from the unassigned fund balance. So it wouldn't have any impact on the bottom line, both on the budget and the actual amount of that budget to be raised by property taxes, until we get to Article 8 and 9. 8 being with Historical Society, potential proposed appropriation, and Article 9 with the Madeline Valley Arts. And so that will have that, if they are, if they're voted in the affirmed, then that will affect the bottom line. So
Yeah, it will
or-
add.
Or whatever those numbers are. So I'll be keeping a running list of what those two numbers are.
Yeah,
but-
it's a total of $3,500, so it's
Right.
gonna be minimal impact.
Well, I'm always assuming the worst in case we start tweaking
Yes.
all the other levers.
Yes.
So I was wondering if I could turn to one of you all, perhaps
Yeah.
York, to just check my math,
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, sure.
just to make sure that I'm.
Yeah.
So the three authorizations of the undesignated fund, that does affect the bottom line of expenditures. It doesn't affect the amount raised by taxes.
Well, but isn't it already, if it's in the unassigned fund balance, is
It's
a line
not,
item?
but it's not in the
Oh,
budget
okay.
as an expenditure.
Oh, I see.
That's how I've seen that other towns do it.
Oh, okay.
So it changes the bottom
Changes.
line, but not the tax amount to be raised by
Okay,
taxes.
great.
Makes sense.
But they're reserves.
Yeah, but our reserves are in the budget.
Right, well, are we gonna make up, if people say no to this, are we making it up through taxes?
Well, I don't.
I mean,
No,
we have a chart, but sometimes the expenditures don't happen on the schedule that we have.
yeah.
Is my, like, we have a plan, we have a capital improvement plan, but it's like, East Warren Road, I think, was delayed for a year. So, I think we're just voting on the amount to be raised.
Well, that's two different numbers, it's the amount to be spent and the amount to be raised, and we are spending more by that decision.
It's considered spending it, just moving it from the general fund to.
Well, it's unassigned, so it's a vote to put it in, we have other
So we
reserve
could,
expenditures.
in other words,
Right, but we don't, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I think what we're saying is that while it may affect the municipal budget, because expenditures will go up, it won't affect the estimated amount to be raised by property tax.
Yes.
Well, you might just end up not doing something.
Yeah,
Like, if we don't transfer the $75,000 to the White House
That's right.
Reserve, the roof might not get done,
Yeah. that's
right?
Yeah.
Right.
it would.
But a budget is never, it's always, I mean, the expense is still coming out of the reserve, not the budget.
Well,
No, but
this
the
is an
money
authorization.
the money going into the reserve is coming out of the budget.
No, it's
No,
coming out of the
coming out-
unassigned fund balance.
Unassigned fund balance.
But what we're doing is we're saying, when we increase the amount that we want to put in the reserve, we're increasing our budget from 2.795 to 2.895.
No,
No,
I
because
think
it's
we're-
going directly from the unassigned fund balance into the
we're
reserve.
specifically moving it from essentially
That's
the
what-
budget surplus or the
Yes,
undesignated fund balance, cash on hand, directly to.
And we're turning
reserve
it into an
account.
expenditure.
yeah, but we don't vote on
But
expenditure.
Yeah, we
the
do.
expense
We
comes out of.
vote
the-
on the money that we put into, I just think that's
This
the way.
isn't, but this isn't going through the budget, it's going
Yeah.
directly from the unassigned fund balance to the reserve. It's
Right.
not money that we're raising through the tax.
I know it's not raising the
That would,
taxes.
generally what we do is we raise money through taxes and put them into reserve.
Well, there's other revenues, that's why we have an amount that we're spending and an amount that we're raising by taxes, which are always different. I think this
Right.
raises the amount that we're spending, but doesn't
Mm.
raise the amount that we're doing by
But you don't
taxes.
know that you're gonna spend it.
Well,
It's authorized.
it's
It's an
gonna be
authorization.
restricted once we do this.
We're
That's-
authorized to
But
raise the
essentially,
taxes, we're not
we're moving money
authorized to
from
spend
like
money.
a cash account
Yeah.
to a reserve account.
I disagree, I know that other towns have done it this way, but I think Carrie can finesse it as any way she wants.
No
Yeah, but
pressure.
the question to me would be if the voters say no, then what? Do we
Yeah.
wanna increase the budget to pull those funds from, current year taxes?
That would be a question, and then that
Really
would
big
raise both
increase in the
numbers.
budget.
Right,
That would raise the amount to be raised from taxes.
Yeah. If it, in my head anyway, if it comes from the cash on hand, from the undesignated fund balance, it's not raising
But we're
the
talking
budget or the
about,
taxes.
It's not
Articles
raising
8
money,
and
but it's
9.
spending money. It's designating it.
so articles, so let me just clarify.
yeah.
Articles
89.
5, 6, and 7 are
Mhm.
transfers.
Yes.
They're already in the budget.
They're-
They're in the capital improvement plan, they're
Yes.
not in the budget,
Yeah.
but,
And they've never been,
They won't affect property tax,
No.
but they are in the unassigned fund balance. So the question is, if they're in that fund balance and they move into the authorized budget,
they don't move into the authorized budget.
yes, they do.
No, they don't.
Yes, they
They
do.
go from the unassigned fund balance to the reserve, they're not passing through the budget.
But by making this vote, we're voting to spend it, wherever it came from.
The voters aren't, we're just voting on what we're raising, we're not voting on what it's spent, because sometimes things change. You give people raises that you don't plan on, you're buying this truck instead of that truck. The voters don't vote on that, all the expenditures down to that.
No, but we do vote on authorizing money to
We're
go into the
authorizing.
reserve fund.
Right,
I'll
but that's
be the
coming from
minority,
the-
I don't care,
That's
I'm,
coming from an unassigned
That's
fund
fine.
balance. In normal years, we've raised money through the budget that goes to reserve, and we're still doing that.
yes.
But that's not Articles 5, 6, and
Yeah.
7.
But on your.
But they are, because we're saying that it is in FY '26, we're gonna spend that money by investing it in our reserve fund. And it becomes part of our bottom line of that year's expenses.
But if we follow that
It's not a-
through, we would then be adding to the revenue line items, the transfer from the general,
No, because
from
it's
the
not a revenue.
undesignated fund.
It's not a new revenue.
But then, and what's the point of going?
I just think, well, again, it's a judgment call.
It's already been in the general fund, and then it went to the unassigned fund balance, and now we don't put it back in the general fund before we move it.
It's not putting it back in the general fund, it's just saying this is going to be an FY '26 expenditure.
Authorized.
No, it's a transfer.
Transfer
It's
to,
It's
going
not
from
an
a reserve
expenditure, it's a
fund to a
transfer.
reserve.
It's not in a reserve fund now.
It's in an unassigned fund balance.
right. We end up in the same
And
place.
not, it's actually.
We'd end up in the same place, we agree on that.
I think it's less confusing to the voters to kind of set it up the way we have now, where it's not showing in the current budget. And I think it'll just confuse.
I think
Voters
it's-
don't vote on expenditures. They vote
They
on
authorize expenditures.
certain ones, yes.
Yes.
But it could be, but things change, or it could be that, like, we had originally said we were gonna put some money from the budget into a reserve fund, but we need that cash that we raised. The select board gets to determine ultimately how it's spent,
Unless it's in a reserve fund, because then
Correct.
it's restricted.
yes.
So Articles 8 and 9.
We're still on 6 and 7.
Okay, so we're backing up to 6 and 7, all right, sorry, just want to make sure that we're on the,
I would just explain to
Yeah.
people that this is money that is, an unassigned balance that's accumulated from past,
Year surpluses, yeah.
past,
That is specifically addressed in the.
in the report, and
budget
you'll explain that
presentation.
as well.
Yes.
I just think that I would word it differently, but I'm not gonna argue about
Yeah,
it. And I'm not gonna be critical of you, however you do it.
okay. So that's the easy question.
Mhm.
Articles 6 and 7. Articles 8 and 9 aren't a transfer. That
Correct.
is an authorization to add additional funds to both the budget and the amount raised for property taxes.
Correct,
Yeah.
That was maybe the easier one then.
right, but it's $3,500 on, it's like .15.
Roughly, yeah, if it's 2.3 million that we're raising in taxes, we'd add another $3,500 to that, it's roughly 1.25% or something. Or point, no,
I was gonna say that.
0.125%.
Is there a
It's
reason?
point
It's
zero,
de
yeah,
minimis.
0.15%, 0.15% is what it would be,
Yeah.
0.0015.
And you guys talked about this earlier, but is there ever a reason to pause voting on the overall budget? Which one's that, Article 3?
Great.
Until we vote on this, and then vote on the budget after, it just doesn't, it's one half dozen of the other.
I don't remember ever having done that in the
Okay.
past.
No, it doesn't really matter, because.
It doesn't feel like it matters.
Either way, you're having a budget that you're proposing, and then you're amending it on the floor. And if you did it after all these, you'd still have to say, now it changes from what we originally wanted.
Right,
That
then you'd
makes
have, then you'd have to go move to amend the budget, and then.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
And then you go down a different rabbit hole.
I think sooner we get
That makes
the
sense.
budget approved and passed and moved along, the better off we are.
Oh, so for clarity, Article 3, the number in Article 3, 2,390,789 does not include.
Correct.
Correct, that
Okay.
$3,500.
Yes.
Include
Okay.
8 and 9.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's why I need
That's, yeah.
York to just double check the math. in case those numbers
Yeah,
And,
aren't
yeah,
3,500.
I would not be surprised if
It
one of
might.
them changes.
Right. Happens.
Or one
How-
that doesn't pass.
That was a
that's right.
question we raised in an earlier meeting, is do one of us want to offer an amendment to Article 9 to reduce that amount?
So that's the amount they requested.
Correct.
And we don't know how much they requested from other towns, correct?
I think they requested the same, I was told.
But that's not our position.
Right,
Yeah.
but if we're making it contingent on what other towns do, we don't, so we don't have to have the answer to that contingency to be able to.
I agree with that. Like, to me, it matters more on the rec district or something, where we're talking $40,000, and then I care what other towns are doing. If it's $2,500 and we make an
Yeah.
amendment to reduce it, and another town doesn't, you know.
Yeah.
I don't think we should be the ones changing it either, because then we could have done that to begin with.
So
Well, if I make a comment, on the rec district, that came to a select board meeting, and so we had the time to be able to determine what the other communities were doing in terms of contributing to the ball fields. This is different, we're at the town meeting level. And you all are members of the voting public, just wanted to flag that. You're not here as a select board meeting. You're here to answer questions and offer guidance and respond to, but you can, it's your prerogative as a voting member to decide whether you want to do it.
So an alternative would be that we could make a comment that would be our largest, kind of public service expense or something like that. And
Yeah,
see if
right.
anybody else wants to make an amendment.
We're not, there isn't supposed to be campaigning by the floor. So,
I'm sorry, is,
there's not supposed to be campaigning from the floor. And actually, this is interesting, because even though I was told it would be on their ballots, I don't see it unless it's in their budget.
Well, we worded it this way, to where if it didn't pass other towns, that's a prerequisite for writing a check.
Right, so,
Yeah,
Although
that-
the way it's been phrased here, additional appropriations, it's not tied to that specific amount. It doesn't appear to be tied to a specific amount.
It says to support the organization in a comparable amount.
Comparable.
I don't see that as our concern. If we don't think 2,500 is, or we think 2,500 is too much, we vote what is in our heart. And they figure it out.
yes, but there's what's statutorily what we're supposed to be doing. Well, actually, no, I'm sorry, so it's voting from the floor, so we're fine. If it's on the ballot, we can't
Yeah.
discuss it from the floor.
Yeah, I thought we were.
But it's
Actually,
an article.
the law was changed
Yeah, just changed.
like a year or two ago, that you can
Mhm.
discuss ballot items.
Mhm.
Okay. You can discuss them, you can ask questions, but you can't campaign for them. Just like if you're running for office, you can't campaign from the floor. You have to, so you can ask questions, but you can't say, you shouldn't be saying, this is how I voted, how people should vote. I don't see. River Valley Arts, the
What are you looking
appropriation
at?
list for Facein. You can keep it, I'll look it up. But.
So, as 8 and 9 are written, you're just asking, Carrie, that we have we've calculated the budget impact, and when you ask, we can share that number, that it would increase the budget from 2,309 to whatever, 2, 3, 13.
Yeah, after we've opened it up for discussion, we could offer, you can offer comments.
Makes sense.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, and it is tricky, because what if the other towns have a higher amount or lower amount, it's
Well,
comparable.
yeah, I'm seeing that Basin doesn't have any amount at all.
Which isn't that, aren't we required by statute to?
Just looking at the
Do
one.
you know who might be there to speak to it?
I see Warren Arts Committee. That's not a new expenditure. Warren, bless you.
Bless you.
When you say who might be there to speak to it, are you speaking about Matter Valley Arts?
Yes.
Yeah.
Specifically, my guess is a member Warren will
So
be there.
Warren has Article 3, shall the town of Warren vote to raise, appropriate, and expend the sum of $2,000 for the support of Mad River Valley Arts to provide services to residents of the town.
They put 2,000.
They put 2,000 and no kind of contingency on what other towns are doing.
I didn't see it, double check. Oh, no, no. I don't see it in Facein, and I don't see it in that
I
quick
think
page.
there was one that was sticky.
If they're not voting on it, that's, I mean, we can amend the article. People can amend the article from the floor if they want to, right, to say that it's not dependent, you can change the amount, right?
And Facein have already incorporated it into their budget,
I don't-
know, they could have,
I
they
don't
could
see
do it
it
on the
in there.
floor,
It's, I don't see it in their it's not in their articles, double check, because I missed the warrant, and,
Well, it's weird that
and then,
the town meeting warrant that I'm seeing is from 2021 on that.
And that one includes Matter Valley Arts?
I have it.
You have a new one?
Very
Here, I
confusing.
will. You can double check, so that might be that might be one that gets amended on the floor.
It'll be fun.
So you're just asking.
It'll probably be the one that takes us the longest.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
I expect there'll be some discussion about the White House.
So, okay,
Understand?
do you need
There were
anything else,
stickies
Karen?
on
I think that's it, those were my questions.
Okay.
There is my,
Great. All right, then
What
we'll,
does the, sorry, just for me, what is the process of electing new moderator? Is that something that happens at the beginning?
beginning, yes.
It's the first article.
the first
So we'll
article,
be looking for a motion.
right, and I'm still the moderator until today, or till tomorrow.
Right.
And so.
Till a new moderator.
What we've done in the past is the existing moderator offers, takes up Article 1 as the first one item. And then, other towns have used their clerk, but I think this is easier because our clerk will be monitoring the ballot as well. while paying
Is she gonna
attention.
do
She's got
minutes?
couple of
Who's gonna
Yeah.
do minutes? Do
Yes, Jennifer.
Okay.
There was a
That's
Supreme
why we
Court-
really need to make sure people mention their names when they make a motion.
Oh,
or second
shoot.
There was a Supreme Court case in
I signed one twice.
1920
Yes, you
that
did.
said that the moderator
Sorry.
could preside
That
over
was my
an
bad.
election.
Oh, there you go.
I
Signature
learned
is so
that
bad.
at town meeting.
The hard
too.
way.
Can't tell.
Great.
And enforcement of using the microphone is very.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And just for clarity, that Article 2, reports of town officers, I think the budget stuff comes last. We do the
Yes.
commission updates and stuff first.
Yeah, I'm going to walk us through all the various town reports. I won't get into except for the fire department, which we shared jointly, as you know, with Basin. I won't be getting into the regional report, just the town reports. But the last one, I'll skip over the select board one and then come to it at the end, right before Article 3, so it can easily flow into Article 3 discussion of the budget.
Cool.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And we'll start at 9.
Great. And no
Uh,
lunch, is that correct? No lunch?
No, not that we know of.
Okay.
Select board roundtable?
Thanks.
Can we talk, the presentation, all good? Can you make one small change? On one of the very first slides, which has the 0.5% increase, I wonder if you can make it 0.5. So it doesn't look like 5% from the back of
They're not here.
Um,
Oh,
You're talking about the
Sorry.
right, and change that and just put it,
it. Go up.
It's literally the first bullet on
no, you want this to be 0.5.
Yeah.
Oh, and I made the adjustment for the covered bridge also. I had not done that in that, so I made it after. So if there's no other changes besides the 0.5 in the covered bridge, then I'll resend this as a
Okay.
PDF.
It would still be awesome if you're able to send it, like, break it into, like you said.
Okay, oh, you would like that? Okay.
and generally we should be.
Okay, I'll do that later.
Could we get a hard copy of that? Or could I get a hard copy of that, please?
Yeah, I can even print them tomorrow morning or something, and bring some, or take them to the meeting.
Yeah,
Okay.
that'd be great. Okay, so you had your input for
Yeah,
the,
that was
do anything else for town meeting? I have a very quick early appointment in Berlin at 8, and I should be here on time, but who knows? Select board roundtable?
Warming weather next week. We have a lot of snow, we have a lot of thick ice on the river, potential for flooding
This week or next week?
next week.
There's some rain this week,
And rain.
that's all.
Yeah.
Wednesday, Thursday.
So we're watching the rivers, we're watching the weather for it. We haven't had this thick of ice on the river for quite a few years. Hopefully it'll go slowly.
Well, Fred, if there's anything I can do to help with that type of like, you know, if you're like, oh, prep work or preparedness for luck of the boom, whatever, let me know, just so we're organized, I'm happy to help.
Appreciate that. And along those same lines, March 11th, we got a meeting with the regional coordinator from Vermont Emergency Management. The LEMP is being completely redone. New format, same information, new format. So we got a working session here that afternoon with him to go through the local emergency management. That's right here. Yep. Yep.
Did we hear anything back from Miles about the covered bridge?
Yeah, he was supposed to come last week, but maybe
He has not been here.
No, I know. But the weather obviously went pretty south those couple days. I'll reach out to him on Wednesday if we don't hear from him.
Great. And the only thing I wanted to mention is that somebody put an editorial or a letter to the editor in last week's Valley Reporter about their numbers that they've been running, and they were incorrect. It suggested that taxes had gone up 35% last year, which is wrong. School taxes went up 19.5%, and they went down this year. And I believe Waitsfield taxes went up less than 1% last year, and are projected to go up. What was the number, Brian?
0.27%,
So this.
which was actually, I think it'll go down.
Down, once the tax rate is set. So this concept of like, went up over 1/3 last year, and they're projected to grow again this year is incorrect. So this is information that can be commonly found on the different websites, so I suggest that people go there instead of running their own data.
Consider the source.
Oh, that's why, but sometimes it's important to set the record
Yeah.
straight.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do we, should we officially respond?
Hmm?
Should,
Oh,
as
yeah.
we've done in the past, should one of us respond as a, follow-up literary editor or front porch forum or?
Regarding the wastewater,
Well, just
or,
in general, that there was lots of misinformation
yeah.
on that.
I don't know, sometimes it's hard to address all the misinformation. But I know as far as the wastewater, all those questions have been properly considered by the people that have been intimately working with the
Yeah.
information.
And discuss that publicly.
Yeah,
And they were all asked repeatedly before the bond vote.
Was this
Yes.
a letter to the editor that, or
Yes.
is this, okay, so we're not talking about the article that,
yeah.
okay, 'cause I was gonna say, I
And the
didn't
whole
see
point,
anything.
and one of the major aims of the wastewater project would be to prevent pollution, further pollution of the river, and it would be a better situation should the river flood.
And that's one of the, as far as I can tell, it's, for me, that's one of the biggest reasons. It's huge.
Right, that's why we as a town would wanna do it.
Well, and just also with regard to that letter, we did sign on to a letter to the Green Mountain Care Board and UVM Hospital, so we have taken action. We don't have any power or authority, but.
Mhm.
we
Yeah.
could.
Okay, town admin report, or,
Roundtable, I got two more things.
Okay.
I continue to work with FEMA. I thought they had consolidated, they wanted a consolidated numbers for each road segment, and they came back and they want to break down of individual hours by staff and some other stuff about the vendors. So I'm still dealing with that. I am wondering how a FEMA reimbursement to Waitsfield, Vermont would be.
oh, I already had that thought, or new grant applications?
But anyhow,
End of the chow line.
and also, we've talked before about the fairgrounds and Hadley Gaylord farming it. I've talked to the Conservation Commission. I think there's a general desire to allow him to continue to farm it. I met with him over the weekend about what those terms are. One of the things that we've raised and the Conservation Commission raised is farming it is fine, but the animals need to be out of the river if you're gonna do that. And the Conservation Commission is looking at some fencing funding opportunities. And so I'm gonna put together kind of an outline of what a contract might look like, and it would involve the fairgrounds, the floodplain field, and we might as well throw in the Tardy Farley property, because he has access through there and takes care of some of that. And just not a contract, but a lease. His issue is if he's gonna put money into it for fencing or anything, he wants some commitment to use the property for some time.
I mean, is it a license or a lease? Because if you get a lease, then you have sort of tenant rights.
Yeah, it would be, it'd be a lease, it would be, to hay it, basically, or pasture it. So that's just an issue that I think we're gonna have to be dealing with in the near future, is what are our short-term and long-term plans for the fairgrounds. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
That's right. All right, so then we can go on the town administrator report,
Okay. Hopefully I'll be more organized moving forward, but I'm getting there. The MDRC wastewater pre grant application is a LOI. Josh Schwartz is putting it together based on one last time that JB and Andy put together. We thought it was important to, let you guys know, and then basically it's a pre-application, so if it's approved, you're approved to apply for the grant. And Josh was maybe gonna get it to me before this, just so I'd be able to present it, but he was not able to. I just put the notes from the FEMA, which is really great. I wanna go down to my notes, one second. I am certified, so it's cool. I reached out to Christine thinking that maybe it was a good idea, because I saw it on the town plan, that, you know, the next 8 years, cybersecurity is something I'm gonna focus on, and I couldn't see much that we've done, so, that's why I thought it was a good idea. I think the couple main things that came from it is that, the state is gonna have us go to, every town, go to .gov email addresses. And so that's probably happening in the relatively near future. I don't think there's an act to do anything on it right now, because there might, if there's cost to it, there may be funding to help, do that, but that would be more secure.
Right, and I think one part of that might be select board email addresses.
It would be select board,
Right, through the-
select board and staff, I believe.
Yeah,
So I think that's
We
cool.
would no longer use our own
your
personal.
personal.
I have a separate email address that is just for town matters right now,
Right,
so.
but in terms of
Yeah, but
cybersecurity.
no, I
that's-
100% agree.
I mean,
think
there's,
having silos is
I'll say, so Nuwari did it, and there were 3 Nuwari staff members at the training, and they kind of laughed at Waitsfield, saying, as far as we know, you've done almost nothing for cybersecurity in recent years. And I don't know if that's true, but they're like, we really, like, and they're excited to talk to us and see what we can do, and you know, and so I have some plans for what's that?
The new website is,
I think the new website's great.
but that's part of it.
I mean, I had only been here 2 weeks.
I know, sorry, I'm not.
But I did, like, I talked about, you know, training, and of course, my previous jobs, we had to do know before, and they were the ones that said know before is great, and we should be, you know, having that for staff members. Are you familiar with know before?
No.
Know before is like, basically cybersecurity training.
Mhm.
Like with National League of Cities, we had to do it every 3 months or 6 months. It
Mhm.
took like 5-10 minutes. They made little videos and ask questions, and then, you know, making sure you don't click on a link in an email that's not
We
right.
get those like things, yeah, for the school district. and
Yes.
stuff, like,
So-
who's gonna do it?
Yeah, so, I mean, they're
Trials.
pretty minimal, and at least with National League of Cities, I think pretty common. If you don't do the training, after a certain amount of time, you lose access to all your emails and everything until you do it. Cause, I mean,
Enforcement.
the risk is real, which we all know, but when you're at the training, it was really good. I mean, you see that the risk really is real.
Right.
And it's terrifying, really.
Mhm.
I went through that 2 years ago. Yeah, it's,
And the other thing is, and
Eye-opening.
if you guys are interested, the guy that led the course, after I said, well, what realistically can we do, you know, for no cost, really, just upfront to kind of do, I used the word audit, which I think was semi-right. And he gave me a few ideas like CIS security to kind of start going through our system and just make sure that we don't have any real weaknesses and start, you know, to address it. So if you're interested in moving forward, I can find out more about that and bring it back to the board. So the crosswalk, RFP, that was gonna run out April 25th, which was not gonna happen. We do have all the permitting done, I believe. I requested a no-cost extension, which was approved, and that is in there.
Well, we haven't technically, you guys shouldn't be signing things before we approve the consent agenda, it just doesn't matter.
I appreciate
Formality.
that.
So-
Because I got some issues that I'm gonna go through before we get to that, sorry.
But that was probably my fault. I mean,
No.
So, you know, if you want to, because, I mean, in that, we, our in-kind is up to $4,760, which is the main reason it's here. So if you want to do the no-cost extension through January 25th, 2026, we can sign that, and then we have, obviously not till January, because it'll be mid-winter, but we'll be able to start that process to go out for bid for engineering and purchase of the sign and installation. Do you want to talk about that at all? No?
No, well, it's on the consent agenda.
Okay.
Yeah, you can, I would talk about it when we get
I should just go back up. Am I skipping
one of the
ahead?
decisions.
I'm probably skipping ahead. Okay, yeah, I apologize, skipped ahead.
That's all.
The generator maintenance, it's in there, it was done. There was confusion about the fire department, but they have that, plan, to get maintenance elsewhere. And the municipal code of ethics, I went through the training, I know you all have to go through training, maybe you have, but we do need to put the municipal code of ethics on the website, has to be put somewhere in there, which I'm happy to do, and then if someone has an idea where you'd like that, that's great. The main point is that we also have to, and I started doing the form, because there's basically a recommended form for complaints, that I'll bring to the board in the coming weeks to have approved to then also go on the website. But we do need to come up with a policy, an ordinance, and I need to find it again, if someone's there. The ethics complaint investigation ordinance that we need to pass, because I don't think we have one. Some
No,
cities
we
already
don't.
had
We
one
don't have one.
in their files, we do not. So that's something we, according to the state, need to come up with.
Does VLCT have a?
Oh, there'll be a model, yeah.
They don't, yeah, I don't think.
Oh, wow, okay.
They said on the website, there will be one coming at some point, so I found one that's pretty, it might be Essex Junction or Montpelier, one of them had a pretty good one that looked like it, we can semi-replicate it, make it our own. So if you're interested in me working on that, I can work on that and bring it to the board.
The planning district went around about whether they were required to adopt it, and were told they're not, but did adopt one based on a model from CBRPC, because VLCT didn't have it ready yet.
Oh, yeah. So if you're interested in that, then I can work on that, on those two things. And I think that's it, actually. The Flemmer Field is just something that needs to be signed and considered for
okay.
for the calendar.
All right, so.
And sorry, I wasn't as organized as I could be.
No, that's all right, it's the first run. So I'm gonna go, before we do the consent agenda, this is actually administrative action, the Flemmerfield use form. So I think you can sign that without select board approval, so we're gonna take that out of
Okay.
the consent agenda. This group is not gonna get their liquor license because they did not show up.
Yeah,
So-
that was the beginning of the meeting and the.
Yeah, so I don't, can you remember that this is not, everybody signed it, but it's not valid, should I just X it
Correct, yes,
out?
please.
And then the festival permit does need to be approved by the select board for the Mountain Gardeners. So we will add that to the consent agenda,
Sorry, guys.
and I just wanna make sure you know you signed this one, not us. Right, this one grant?
That's correct.
Okay, great.
But I feel like, I don't remember who advised me, just to make sure that you
No.
all wanted that to go forward. That's the crosswalk one, right? The no cost extension.
Yes.
And so, I don't remember who said it, but it said it's probably advisable to have the board support that. It may have been Sandy. That the select board would like to go forward
Right,
with
that,
that.
and that's why it's in the consent agenda.
Okay.
I just wanna make sure you know that you sign it, not
Right,
us.
yeah.
Okay,
And so I do have permission, the board does wanna do the no cost extension
Yes.
for the RF, yeah.
okay. And we'll add the, permit for Mountain Gardeners Club, application to the consent agenda as well. And then, if nobody has any objections, we can approve the consent agenda. Right? Okay, we're good?
Good advice to not sign things before we.
Right, I was like, wait a minute.
No, it is.
Or
Well, it was
operations
partially
is
my
appreciated,
fault
I
too, I
appreciate it.
definitely did not do the agenda quite perfect.
Better than the last 9 months of agenda.
I was gonna say,
Hey!
I don't know about that.
That's cold.
That wasn't meant to be on you, but all of us.
No, I should have done better, and I apologize.
No, I think, I'm glad that you're here.
First go round.
It's,
All right, does anybody have anything else, otherwise we can adjourn?
Can I ask about, is this the liquor license?
Yeah. They need,
Cause she wrote me back and said I'll be there in
Yes,
person.
and I was
So,
there, so that, our policy is that people have to show up for the first 3 years of
Right.
application and renewal.
and this was the second
This was gonna be the first,
renewal,
yes, the first renewal. Unless we change our policy, we can't approve it unless they come.
Right, so if they say we're gonna come at the meeting at the end of March, then we just,
Do it again.
Yeah, they can come
Yeah.
next week.
okay,
Right.
okay, that makes sense. I
And
just wanted to make
it-
sure
and
I
it-
know the policy.
That might be one thing that the select board wants to discuss in the future, how many times we do really make people come through and whether, I think the select board still has to approve it and sign it as the liquor control board, but
You definitely wanna have them come the first time.
Yes.
I mean, maybe we
probably
could-
the second
Is there a
time.
way that if like there was complaints or
Mm-hmm.
something that they have to come before the board, even if
Well,
they've
that's
been
what
there
we're
10
trying to
years?
do, is ward off the possibility of complaints.
But I
I
think
see.
if there are, I think, yeah, I don't know, it's a funky thing because the system goes through the state, and there's a portal through the state.
Yes, right.
So it's
But
kind
that's
of one of
our
those-
policy.
Yes.
For the first
not
3 years.
statutory
The
policy.
first
Okay.
3 years.
Okay.
So it could just be kind of approved. Yeah, and do we really want, I mean, maybe the first 2 years, I don't know.
Who is that? Who's the member?
Carolyn Lessard, right?
Who's that?
Matter
What's
for
the business?
exchange?
Matter of Exchange, that's like where the donuts and bagel are.
We're
They're
out
mostly
on the
doing, it's like
90.
it's catering, I think.
Yeah.
It's not even on site.
The bar is on site,
Are they serving out of the bar?
so they'll serve for event, my understanding at least, because so it's sort of a space that can be rented, has a commercial kitchen, can be rented for events. They will also host events that they host themselves there.
Right.
So they have a bar that's how they make their money on some of those events, my understanding at least.
Great. All right, then if we have no objections, we can adjourn.
Move to adjourn?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess that was a yes to adjourn.
Yes, we're
Yes.
adjourned.